The extensive Monster Hunter World and Final Fantasy XIV collaboration event launched in both games early August. And, to put it succinctly, the content has been nothing short of impressive. We've already compared how Rathalos appears in Monster Hunter World to Final Fantasy XIV and saw the monstrous behemoth in Monster Hunter World. But what about that sweet armor that unlocks by completing these crossover quests? Defeating Behemoth in Monster Hunter World, which is no small task, believe me, grants materials used to craft nifty Draken armor and a matching insect glaive, which are very faithful to the source Dragoon designs that have prevailed since Final Fantasy II. On the other hand, the Rathalos armor earned by defeating the Red Wyvern in Final Fantasy XIV looks much more Eorzean than its Monster Hunter counterpart. We asked the producer and director of Final Fantasy XIV, Naoki Yoshida, why his team decided to take this direction in redesigning this exemplary Monster Hunter armor in Final Fantasy XIV. Yoshida says, quote, "The armor design of not only Monster Hunter World, but the entire Monster Hunter series utilizes material from the monsters you defeat, which results in an extremely realistic yet also rugged design. It would have been simple to implement this same concept into Final Fantasy XIV, and we were provided the necessary asset files from the Monster Hunter World team to do so. However, this project was not intended to be a simple crossover. We wanted to go past that and challenge ourselves from a design perspective." End quote. The Rathalos armor in Monster Hunter World resembles full plate armor with large scales and spiked pauldrons. It leaves the impression that the materials were torn straight off the monster and immediately repurposed with ore and a heavy hand. You can almost see which part of the armor came from where on Rathalos, but being able to immediately recognize and admire which monster the equipment came from is one of the many joys of Monster Hunter. Yoshida says, quote, "There are quite a few players within the Final Fantasy XIV community that enjoy mixing and matching their gear to create their own unique look. I felt players could enjoy Monster Hunter World and Final Fantasy XIV for much longer if they could create many different outfits utilizing this armor set, rather than only donning the full set of Rathalos armor to take on the appearance of the Wyvern and then putting it aside. When I met with Monster Hunter World creative director Kaname Fujioka to discuss the design, we took a specific angle. What would this armor look like if the artisans of Final Fantasy XIV crafted it from materials straight from Rathalos? That is the design concept for this particular armor set. I felt that having the Square Enix art team take on the challenge to create a set of Rathalos armor from scratch using this concept was a kind of collaboration in its own right." End quote. Though a logical decision on Yoshida's part, it wasn't an easy one. He said he was incredibly torn on whether to take the design as is. Yoshida says, quote, "We've received comments asking for the implementation of the original Rathalos armor and have taken this feedback in consideration for the future. I think this collaboration between the Monster Hunter World team and ours was a great success. I believe both the Monster Hunter World team and Final Fantasy XIV team are looking for the next opportunity to work together, so please look forward to that day." End quote. For more on the Monster Hunter World and Final Fantasy XIV collaboration, don't miss the Behemoth and Rathalos gameplay videos, and for everything else, stick with IGN.